I mean, this is a paper. It's very comprehensive, I must say. I was just having a perusal of it. 120 pages. Everyone from the Attorney General to Cheryl Richards, who's now a Grand Court judge, Jacqueline Wilson, Kenneth Farrow, all QCs, or at least Kenneth Farrow and Cheryl Richards. Ian Paget Brown was the chairperson of the Law Reform Commission on this. Hugh Moses, OBE. There's a lot that went into this. And I mean, I think this is a very good foundation and a good start. They looked at everything from defining critical terms, asking the question, does contract law adequately protect consumers? Why couldn't the government, having this amazing foundation to work off of already, assign this to one of your consulates, right? Consulars. Because I understand, as you say, ministers have their plates full. They have a lot on their plates. But isn't that why you have understudies, why you have parliamentary secretaries, is what they're now called,
right,
who should have the capacity to pick up a specific area like this and try to see it through to fruition? Why isn't that being done?
And there you go. That's a good example, Sandra, of you asking good questions, and holding government to account. The answer really is that a parliamentary secretary is one individual. They may have the capacity to review this and say, okay, we think we should get started with this. It's still, at the end of the day, going to come down to a question of allocating resources within government, within the ministry, the relevant ministry, to be able to take this forward and work with this. So the process really would be a further review of the proposals, having, given the time, it may be worthwhile having another, like a public consultation on it, to be able to then narrow down exactly what sort of framework we should start with. We have the ability, for example, to look at other jurisdictions to see what they do and how they started, what sort of system they have in place as a initial action. And then that then gets translated into a cabinet paper, which is drafting instructions, which goes to legal, government legal drafting.
And someone has just
all
pointed
I'm
out.
saying is, I said all of that just to say that, it takes a lot of resources, not just the attention of one person, to be able to pursue getting this stuff done. And the Law Reform Commission, I think, has done a lot of great work over the years, and unfortunately, a lot of it has not actually resulted in government taking action or moving things forward on it. So I think we need to focus on this one and make sure that we take this forward, particularly in an environment where we have high inflation, and we have challenges around cost of living. That is particularly where consumers need that kind of protection. There needs to be protection around making sure that they're getting value for money, spending the limited resources that they have. It's unfair to them to have to accommodate some substandard product or service. So I think the time is now for us to make sure that we put some effort into this, and begin the steps of finalizing the outcome of a consumer protection agency and legislation in Cayman. I mean, I think it would be no surprise to you as well that a lot in the business community may not want that. They may feel that things are working fairly well the way they are, and they don't want another government agency to have to interact with or be responsible to. But that's an aside. We have to look at what needs the people of the country have, whether they're getting treated fairly, whether they're getting products and services of the required quality. whether their expectations are being met fairly. So I will give you the commitment that this is something we will look at and start putting the efforts into getting this done. And I think
Okay.
you've been discussing some issues. I haven't tracked everything, but I know you've been discussing some issues recently around um, certain products that may not be providing the meeting the required standard and expectations, and that's just one more example of a situation where we need an agency who is going to also help, in addition to people like you who are bringing the issue to the public and discussing it. We need a government agency which can help.
All right. Johan says DCI should be leading the initiative for the development of a better business bureau that then becomes the responsibility of the Ministry of Commerce, with the parliamentary secretary reporting directly to the minister with responsibility. The Consumer Protection Agency must fall under DCI at the initial stage of setup and draft appropriate laws and regulations. Marshall says, why does this sound like a runaround? Rosie has a question, which we'll get to here in a second, about pensions. Balika says the discussion paper on consumer protection was issued by the Law Commission in November 2015, some 8 years ago.